everybody, and welcome to Rewind, coming to you every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern, right here on the AWS 4 Games channels on Twitch and YouTube. My name is Chris Melissinos, and I'm the principal evangelist for video games here at AWS. And on this week's Rewind, we're going to go ahead and take a look back at the Atari Jaguar. Now, this system, released in the mid-1990s, 1994 to be exact, was Atari's real last foray into the home console market. Supposedly a 64-bit machine. There's been a lot of discussion about this over the years, but regardless of what you think of the machine, it's the amount of time that it's spent in the marketplace. It has left an indelible mark on the history of video games, and you know, today the Jaguar still has a huge fan community, and there's new software, new games being created for it today. So we're going to go ahead and explore a little bit of the Jaguar library, some of my favorite games, look at some of the launch titles there, and yeah, just chat about the Atari Jaguar. So why don't we head on over and find out a little bit more about the marketing of the Jaguar during its time. All right, so here we are over at the old school TV, isn't that right? Yes, that's right. Little air horn there for it. And of course, I always have to ask whenever I jump in to play Atari.
How you play Atari today?
Yes, that classic Atari jingle from back in the day. Still super awesome to hear. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about, or listen to a little bit about, how the Atari Jaguar was being positioned in the market by going through a few of the launch commercials.
Some of you believe your system is the most advanced in the universe.
Now, I love this ad too. The actress or actor that's playing the teacher, she is absolutely remarkable, especially when she gets this super, this super twitch in her eye here. Oh, here we go. I've got nobody plays Jaguar, quit lying. Nobody knows the jingle, stop trying to make fetch happen. Thanks. We are not trying to make fetch happen. So there we go with the Atari Jaguar Doom. Right now, this game here, it's probably one of the best, if not the best version of Doom on a home console because of the speed at which it ran. John Carmack actually worked on that one himself. So there we go. Of course, Tetris 2000, which was created by Jeff Minter, one of the game industry legend, Jeff Minter, making games forever, and he really just kind of took the formula for Tempest and added a whole new level of psychedelic visuals and awesome audio tracks and bonus levels and all these other sorts of things right there in the game. And of course, they said, look, do the math. It's a 64-bit system. Again, the problem was that the Atari Jaguar actually had two 32-bit processors, right, based off the Motorola 68000, but it had a 64-bit wide data bus. And that's where they kind of said, well, you have these two 32-bit systems accessing a 64-bit wide data bus. Therefore, we should consider this to be a true 64-bit system. And we know that's not quite true. That's not exactly how these architectures work. But, this was the era of explosive marketing and in-your-face advertising and talking up specs. It was kind of the trailing end of the bid wars, right, as we may remember them, or you may remember them. And so, yeah, it was about the bitness of the machines. It was about, having more tech power in there. Forget about the quality of the games, of which, unfortunately for the Atari, right, that quality is all over the map. But today, as we're going to go ahead and play through these Atari games, I'm going to actually be doing this all through an emulator called the Big P emulator. Now, this emulator was created by the folks over at Digital Eclipse for the Atari 50th anniversary collection. That's where you were able to go ahead and play Atari Jaguar games in that collection. And what they decided to do was to release this emulator into the community. So anybody that wanted to go ahead and play their collection of Jaguar games, they had a really competent, high-performance emulator and didn't have to worry about getting access to what is currently very expensive hardware for anybody looking to pick up a Jaguar, right? They go for hundreds of dollars. The Jaguar CD goes for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Building up a full collection of content and a full catalog, right, can be pretty expensive. So great thing about emulation is it allows us to go back and experience those games, and we're going to do that through, again, the Big P emulator. As I'm playing through, if you have any questions about the Jaguar, about some of their content, or if you have a specific game that you want to see, if I have it in the collection, we'll go ahead and fire it up. So with that, why don't we go ahead and start off with one of the first games that I got for this system. It was one of their launch games, and it's really not very good. And this one is called Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. So let's go fire that up there. And let's see, where is our window here? There we go. Trevor McFur and the Crescent Galaxy. So this is a side-scrolling shooter, and of course we were like, oh my goodness, this is going to be great. The power of a 64-bit console. Let's see what they can do with the side-scrolling shooter genre. You can listen to the music here. Not very good, kind of out of tune. All right, so look at that. It almost looks like Flash level graphics, right? At the time. So, all right, let's go ahead and fire this up. You have, all of that shading that was going on, really popular in the 90s, that chrome and gold kind of shading on the interface. Let's go ahead and advance our slides. Look at that photorealistic looking, character right there. General Patton. All right, let's go ahead and see. Now, here's the problem with this game. First thing that you'll notice, apart from the sparse graphics, right? There's no soundtrack to this. There's no, no background to it. So it's basically just a pretty straightforward side-scrolling shooter. No parallax scrolling in the background, even though the system was completely capable of doing those things, just wasn't there, right, for this launch title. Unfortunately, to get these titles out the door quickly, they had to forego some of those graphics and effects and things. Basically, if they had more time in development, we would have a bit of a better game here. But, again, this is the first time that we had our hands on the quote-unquote next generation of game systems, apart from the 3DO, which we went ahead and covered last week. Free. There is Elf Frosty finally some free time and caught you stream again. Hey, good to see you there as well. Let me go ahead and pop into the chat and throw out a big whoop. And yeah, a little bit of a Galaga life. So hey, good to see you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. We're starting off with Trevor McFur and the Crescent Galaxy. Again, this was the paltry type of games that were kind of there at launch. Actually, I shouldn't say that. So this is, one of the games that were launched, but they did have a couple of interesting launch titles that we're going to go through that really just, one of them in particular showed off exactly what the Jaguar could do in the right hands. Yeah, I see. Sad that you missed the show with Amir. We'll have Amir back on. Amir's not going anywhere. Super, good friend, and obviously good friend of the program. So we're going to make sure we have him back in there. I was also told, nobody wants to hear my Atari jingle. Nobody but us old school game guys really remember that Atari jingle. But here we go. This is Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. So you can see, again, this is what we were up against. And this is, coming off of things like Life Force and Gradius and, just incredible shooters that we had on other platforms. But what this is really trying to demonstrate is color depth, the resolution, the amount of objects on the screen. So it was okay, right, for the time. And as a launch title, you kind of made the best that you could, out of it. And so that was Trevor McFur in the Crescent Galaxy. All right, let's go ahead and jump to another launch title. If there's a game that you want to see that you remember playing on the Jaguar, let me know. If I have it in my catalog, I'll go ahead and pull it up. Hey, John. Yay, John Goodell made it there. Hey, everybody say hi to John. Yay! I'm so glad that you're able to make it, and thanks for being in our first time chat, John. Look forward to seeing you soon on our game industry night that we're going to be firing up here soon. So I'm so glad to have that back and running again. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into so here's another launch title on the Jaguar that was actually really good for its time. And not even for its time, it holds up. And this happens to be one of my favorite arcade shooters of all time. This is Raiden. And this came out for the PlayStation, of course, after the Jaguar. I believe it was also on the Sega Saturn. But in the arcade, this was my game. I absolutely loved Raiden. One of the best top-down shooters from the late 1980s. And this port was a really competent port. Obviously not arcade perfect, but pretty darn close. Or I should say, good enough that we didn't care. Right? Good enough that we were happy with what we got here. Now, one of the tricks, of course, they're doing, you can see that the scoreboard is massive on the side of the screen here. And the reason for that, of course, is then the system wouldn't have to process as much. Right? So they were able to get the performance, get the amount of sprites they want on the screen, and also get you a vertical play field like you would have in the arcade. But yeah, again, we didn't have arcade perfect conversions at home during that time. And so seeing this for the first time, oh my goodness, that was amazing. Okay, and now I'm really sucking. I need to pay attention here. All right, let me just throw a bomb so I can clear out some stuff and get out of the way. Right, and the good thing about Raiden 2, what I really loved about this game was that all of the objects that you could go ahead and interact with or grab were not always on screen, so you slid left to right to uncover them. So you could change the way you kind of attacked each level or the paths that you took vertically through the stage. But yeah, what you'll notice is that for the amount of sprites that we have on screen, there's really no flickering, no slowdown. And this was a really difficult thing for the Genesis and the Super Nintendo to pull off effectively on those platforms. And, once again, remember, this is before the PlayStation came out, right? Which the Raiden project on the PlayStation 1 is fantastic. Definitely if you are a collector and don't have that in your collection, what are you doing? This one is absolutely great. So we'll just make it up to the big baddies up here at the top. And yeah, let's go and clear out this level if we can. Of course, right as I said that I died, right? Because why not? All right, here we go. Good soundtrack as well, right? So we had, like I said, with Trevor McFur, they could have had a soundtrack, but they didn't. But you can see here on the Jaguar, that's not a problem. I think, is that it? That is game over. So that is Raiden on the Atari Jaguar. Again, a really good, competent arcade port for its time. And that's probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite arcade shmup, shoot 'em up of all time. So of course, let's add our there we go, little ass up there on the scoreboard, right? Isn't that right? Okay. Let's go ahead and jump into yet another launch title as well. Now this one may be familiar to people that watch like the Angry Video Game Nerd or played this, right? And it's called Cybermorph, right? So Cybermorph was an open world game that launched, and this was the pack-in game actually for the Atari Jaguar. Yeah, El Sofrasi, yeah, it was a big hit at the arcade. The machine would have a line during weekends. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Same with where I experienced it as well. Raiden's awesome. Just a really... go find a copy of it. Go find some place to play it online. I believe services like Antstream Arcade may even have that available as part of their collection. So if you see Raiden pop up, make sure you check it out because it's awesome. Okay, so this game, Cybermorph. So this was an open world game where you had to pick up these different pods and then get out of the level. But it is that damn co-pilot that shows up all the time. She's terrible. She's terrible. And the audio, let me turn down the audio on the game a little bit. I think that may be a bit high right now. So let me turn that down a little bit. Okay, let me know if you can hear that in the chat, please. All right, so Cybermorph, you know, this was 3D, polygonal-based game. You know, we had just gotten done with experiencing Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, so we didn't... Thanks, John. So we didn't... that was kind of like the first open world 3D type of space, you know, combat game that the vast majority of the public kind of understood. So this one, being open world, fly anywhere you want, was something a little bit different, right? So let's go and fire it up, but you'll hear why. You'll hear why people were not frustrated. You'll just hear. You'll wait and hear the co-pilot as she constantly has to tell you.
Good luck.
All right, good luck. So thanks. So that's about all she got. Let me get situated with the controls again. All right. So there is forward and reverse, and now we're flying around. Really floaty controls, right? We still weren't as precise with them. What I also kind of think is ridiculous is you could fly over small hills. Oh, thank you very much. You could fly over small hills, but you couldn't fly over mountains, which was really weird. So you would kind of get stuck on the terrain sometimes. All right, and we're gonna make our way. So basically, you just gotta collect all these pods, and
Well done.
now watch. Every time I hit something, you know, a part of the terrain I
Where
shouldn't.
did you learn to fly?
Where did you learn to fly? And that is all she says every time you crash or hit something. Let's see, let's do it again. Oh, look at that. I was proficient in not crashing. Oh, look at that, did it again.
Avoid the ground.
Oh, there's avoid the ground. Thank you for that, that bit of advice there. So yeah, so the whole point of this game is to find all of these pods, then get to the exit, go on to the next level. That's it. Well done. Well done. Just constantly coming and blowing up your space with ridiculous commentary. All right, let me see here. What do we have here? Oh, yeah, there's the warp. Let's see, 12 pods remaining. And so some of the pods are going to be hidden in buildings. Yeah, and then I blew up. Oh, and look at how they deformed the, you know, your spacecraft as you exploded into the mountainside. Let me see, does this change this? Oh, and it's been a long time since I played this game, so I am experiencing these controls with you as I'm learning. Now that yellow arrow on the
Avoid the ground.
avoid the ground. Yes, thank you. That's a great tip. The yellow arrow just points to where the pods are. So let's go ahead and crank through getting some of these pods. Let's see, it's probably down this little valley here. Yeah, there's one.
Good work.
Good work. Oh, thank you so much. Have you ever had a more supportive co-pilot in a game? You know, except again when she's lambasting you for the obvious.
Work.
Oh, good work once again. Excellent. Oh, she decided to be quiet that time. Maybe it's sentient now. It knows that I'm making fun of her.
Well done.
Oh, yeah, here are all the enemies. Come on, let's get out of here. Let's not even bother with them.
Avoid the ground.
Yes, avoid the ground is exact.
Avoid the ground.
Okay, yeah, avoiding ground. Sorry. That's what you want to hear when you're in the heat of battle.
Work.
Good work, of course. Yes, you know, exactly the way the military does it. There's one. There's
one more.
Oh, only one more. Very good. Okay, that was a bit helpful. Where is she? Ouch. Right, so you can see she just becomes absolutely annoying and grating the entire time. All right, here we go. Let's see. Let's go under that bridge.
Good work.
Okay, now we got to get...
Portal now open.
Portal's now open. All right, so we need to get our ass over to the portal. There it is. And are we going to make our way into it? Of course, look, I missed the whole damn thing. Collision?
Where
Terrible.
did you learn to fly?
Yeah, where did I learn to fly? I learned to fly from you. Okay, there we go. And we did it. Hooray! We went ahead and got into the portal and made our way out of the level. And so this was the game that was supposed to be the big one that set off the Atari Jaguar, that was going to usher in a whole new set of 3D games like this. I mean, it was fine for the time, you know, and it was doing the best that it could with the, with the system and the architecture that they had and the amount of time that developers had with the system. So, so that was Cybermorph. I know I give it a bunch of grief, but I did love it when it first came out because we hadn't seen anything like it before. So, all right, one more cheer, one more air horn for Cybermorph. All right. Let's go ahead and jump in. If there is a game you remember on the Jaguar that you want to go ahead and see, go ahead and just pop it into the chat and let me know. But let's talk about a game that was shown in the TV ads, and you could probably already hear by the audio. This is Doom on the Jaguar. And I was completely serious when I said this before. I believe that Doom on the Jaguar is probably the best conversion of Doom to a home game console ever done. The only difference, or the only thing missing really from it, is the soundtrack. Now, this version, I believe John Carmack worked on directly. It is full screen. It runs super silky fast. It basically has all of the enemies and everything in the game. The only thing missing again was the soundtrack, and it's just because they would have to go ahead and trade off system resources for the soundtrack. Instead of doing that, they just made a kick-ass version of Doom instead. So let's go ahead and jump in real quickly, and you can see how fast this moves on the Jaguar. Just again, we had not seen this in a home console at all. And let's see, do I have? Let me see. Make sure I have my button set correctly here. All right, let's. And in fact, it may be even a bit too fast, quite honestly. Let's go ahead and run up here, grab the vest, come down and grab. Good Lord. Some of these potions or health back here. Potions, right? Yeah, all the magic potions there in Doom. Dummy. Okay, let me see. There's one. There's two. My goodness. Like I said, it is almost too fast on the Jaguar. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Let's pop the explosions there. And down the hallway here. And there we go. We'll lead them back here. And grab some weaponry, or some munitions rather. Oops. So I don't know about you all, but I am a keyboard mouse player for sure, especially for first-person shooters and those sorts of games. All right, and let's come out here and grab that dude. But yeah, again, remember the time that this thing was released. We had not experienced this type of a game on a home console. You needed a pretty powerful PC to actually play this game. And so here we were playing it on the Atari Jaguar. The first 64-bit machine, but really was a 32-bit machine. And of course, I'm going to get waxed by those fireballs. Let's let them come on up. And there we'll go. We'll just go ahead and finish out the level so we can get on to some other games. But here is the masterful, super fast, silky smooth Doom for the Atari Jaguar. If you have any interest in this system, want to go ahead and play the best version of Doom for, yes, Wazdy for the win, 100%. I agree. Yeah, definitely go ahead and check out a copy of Doom on the Atari Jaguar. Really, really awesome. Okay, let's jump into I'm going to be saving the best for last. I don't know if you know what the best game is, but it is being saved for last. All right. Let's see. Let's go ahead and look at... Why don't we go ahead and check out a little game called Fight for Life. Now, this game was supposed to kind of cash in on the whole Virtua Fighter craze, right? So this is a game that came out really, really super late in the life of the Jaguar. You can see low polygon models, texture mapping may not be very good, but we're gonna go ahead and give this a shot. And let's see. Let's go into tournament mode. We'll have a rolling camera and let's go begin this game. So who do we want to play at? Mr. G, Kara, Kimura, Lun. Who's Jenny? Let's go pick Jenny. Let's go ahead and see. Pick B to select that character, and here we go. This was the Atari Jaguar's answer to Virtua Fighter. There I went, jumped right over their head for no reason whatsoever. Everything's moving at an astonishing 20 frames a second on this 64-bit powerhouse. Clearly the Sega Saturn blew this out of the water when it released with Virtua Fighter. And then, of course, the beautiful Virtua Fighter remix, and then the great Virtua Fighter 2. Just a wonderful arcade conversion on the Sega Saturn. But, you know, again, this was Atari trying to go ahead and compete with systems that were more powerful. And this is what they came up with, right? So this goes down to not having the right licenses, not having enough time in development, not having necessarily the right understanding of the machine upon which you're building this. I mean, remember the Atari Jaguar, I think, only sold somewhere north of 150,000 units. It was only in market for like 2 years, maybe not even. So it, you know, we have a limited library to work with. But even though I said there are still games being made today, oh, look at that, secret moves. I have no idea how to pull off any of the secret moves either. But it is fun to go back and take a look at what developers were dealing with when it comes to limitations, right, in this era. So here we go. That is Fight for Life. You can see, you know, it's got a really low resolution skybox in the background. Let me just try doing some kicks. Let me see if I can pull off. Come on, Jenny. Let's see. Let's pull off a couple of big bombastic moves. There's a good high kick. How about, do we have a low kick? Do we have a jump kick? Let's see. Nope. Oh, I do. It's just, I jumped, and I'll jump backwards. Why not? Right over his head. Oh, all right. That one wasn't too bad. Oh, look at that. That was man, he caught all of the momentum behind that punch too, right? Pog. Dumbass name. Sega launched an arcade port of both Virtua Fighter and Virtua Fighter 2 to Windows, and they were super fun. Yes, they were. And I believe, John, correct me if I'm wrong, that a mutual friend of ours named Mr. Hawkins had something to do with the release of those games onto the Sega Saturn. So a little bit of horn and cheer for our good buddy Scott, who was over at Sega at that time, working on that. Let's see. Come on. I just need to go. Correct. He was the producer. See, look, this is why being, you know, the games evangelist here, I've got all of that knowledge stuck up in this brain pan. I just want to know what important things I've forgotten so I could remember all those things. But it's not unimportant because it is the history of my very good friend, our very good friend, Scott Hawkins. So this was Fight for Life. This was Atari's answer to Virtua Fighter during this era. Not a good game by any stretch, but you can see what they were trying to do and the ambition that they had behind it. And although I do kind of like that leaping forward punch that Pog has, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. All right, let's go ahead and stop that, and let's go find another game to play. Let us see. You want to see another fighting game? Let's look at another fighting game called Katsumi Ninja. Now this game... Katsumi Ninja. All right. Now this game said, all right, let's go ahead and take a look at what Mortal Kombat was doing And let's create a game that's going to compete there. Now, what I do like about Katsumi Ninja is the character select. So here we are with a terribly stereotypical announcer over the top, but the fighter select stage is all in 3D. So you have this little kind of museum to walk around, and then as you unlock other fighters, you walk up to their statue, and then you're able to go and select. So here we go. There's Alaric. You can see this is very much a Way of the Warrior situation. Get your friends together, get some cheap costumes, and go ahead and record them in these crazy modes. Here, there's Chaggy. Okay, thanks, Chaggy. Let's see who's over here. Oh, there's Danja. Let's see. Oh, her style is street fighting. Absolutely. All right. Let's go pick an enemy here. Who is this one? Oh, this is Pakawa, of course, right? 5'9", 210 pounds, wrestling. Oh, he's 32 years old as well. All right, let's see. Who else do we have over here? I was gonna say the guy in the kilt. It has to be Angus, right? Angus McGregor is the blacksmith of his village, Loch Katrine. So yeah, it's totally ridiculous. Let's fight Angus. Why not? Let's go and fight this guy. We're gonna fight a little bit of Angus here. Now, after we get out of that 3D environment, we are going to be in a 2D. There we go. If this isn't trying to look like Mortal Kombat, I don't. Look, Angus fires a fireball from his crotch under his kilt. Like, this is what they were going for on the Atari Jaguar. You got to watch out for the crotch fireball in this game. I couldn't even begin to tell you what any special moves are because I never played this game. Yeah. Somehow I got killed by the crotch ball. And listen, the bagpipes in the background. Here we go. Oh. All right, let's see if we can't get at least some. Oh, that was a good high punch. Let's try Mortal Kombat control. And if you had the cheat sheet in front of you, then you could go ahead and play. One of the things I do like is rather than your life bar running out, it's blood filling up on the sword up top, right? Yes, that does make sense. It is a known Scottish fact, right? That's where fireballs in Scotland come from. You're stuck in the wilderness, just throw up that kilt and off you go, right? Let's see. Oh, here we go. Man, he keeps getting that foothold. Then there comes the fireball, right? Okay, come on, get in here. Yeah, there's a good punch. Come on, no more fire. Yeah, see, it's that damn fireball. That's not even a Hadouken. I don't know what you'd call that. Oh. He showed mercy just by killing me, right? 3, 2. All right, that's Katsumi Ninja. All right, let's go ahead and pick let's move on to our next game. All right, let's see. So another good game. Well, I should say it was a good game. It was a fine game. Let's see, where is it? Do I have it here? Checkered Flag, right? So now, as we were talking about with Sega, Sega had released Virtua Racing onto the Genesis using their DSP processor, which was basically the equivalent of, or in the same class as the Super FX chip that was developed by Argonaut Software and then powered a bunch of Nintendo content. So they were able to port that home in a really good, competent port. The 32X port was even better. And then, of course, the Sega Saturn port, which came out after the Jaguar released. But this was Atari's answer to the Virtua Racing game. So here we go. We'll just leave everything as is, and we're just going to go ahead and jump in. So you can see flat shaded polys. Let's make sure I have the right. Let me see. Where are we? There we go. So flat shaded polygons, really good frame rate, really fast, very floaty controls, very floaty controls, really difficult to actually go ahead and control when you're playing, well, as you can see right here, right? I'm just all over the map, sliding everywhere. No collision on those arrows as well. Let me see, do I have different perspectives? Which is the button for a different perspective here? Let's see. Is it up and down? Nope, I don't know which button it is, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. But once again, you can see Atari trying to go ahead and dip into their competitors' pool of content by creating approximations of those bigger games. And that's the way, you know, the Jaguar kind of felt, right? Was that you're not playing the originals of the games that they're supposed to be. You're playing, you know, a not a ripoff, but a lesser version. There we go. There's my perspective. So now I've got a camera that's up a little bit higher, makes it a little bit easier to control. But again, you know, this is one of the first games released on the platform, and it was fun to be had here. Certainly, again, not Virtua Racing, but a good approximation for those that went in on the Jaguar. The 150,000 of us that went in on the mighty, well, not quite mighty, but ambitious, let's say, ambitious Atari Jaguar. All right, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so now I've got a little, I'm getting the feel of it now. Now that, you know, it's coming back to me, right? It takes a little while sometimes, but I also want to know how the hell this car is still driving with all of the collisions and flips that it did, right? Because that is some serious ass engineering right there. Remember too, you know, back in racing games at this time, with a game leaving things like skid marks on the track so you could see them after you went past them again, we were like, how is it doing that? Also, I don't know why all of the cars were then bunched up exactly where they are. I mean, yes, so I'm in position 1, but my goodness, they must just all suck if I'm holding first position here. Okay, here we go, and we're around the corner, and let's see, are we gonna, oh! Now Form 6. Obviously, there's no rubber banding AI on these cars because they're just colliding with me and then leaving me in the dust here. But let's see. Oh, I'm not going through all these different laps. So there you go. That's lap 5 for checkered flag racing on the Atari Jaguar. All right. Let's see, what else? What other type of game do we need to go ahead and take a look on here before we get to the number 1? Let's see. Oh, okay. So this was a big one too, right at the time. This was Alien versus Predator. And this was one of the games that was really held up as the, oh my gosh, we could only do this on the Atari Jaguar. We can't do this on any other platform at the time. Let's go ahead and select a character. So we can be Marine, Alien, or Predator. And I think let's go ahead and be the Alien. And each one of these protagonists or options had different types of abilities, right? So the Predator, of course, had stealth and was really good in close range combat. The Marine really shoot at everything from, you know, as far away as possible. The aliens could go ahead and, I believe, crawl up walls, but basically you're hunting each other down in these environments here. And I don't have the overlay, so all right, let me go close the airlock like they asked me to. All right, now I can go back and open up. Gotta wait a little bit. It's pressurizing. I don't know if that was a caching thing. I was trying to cache stuff in, but there we go. The airlock pressurizing, and is it gonna open now? There, now it's open. And so, oh, there's my mouth. Let me go ahead and, come on, get in there on that guy. Oh, there we go. Look at that. One bite from Minnie Mouth. And he went down. All right, let's open this bad boy up. Ah, this obviously looks like my environment. let's slide all the way around here. Oh, we can't get... I wonder, can we cut through this? No, it's not going to let us cut through. I wonder if there is a tool that would let us do that. But you can see in the HUD, I only have 2 weapons, right? You have your mouth attack, you have your swipe attack. That's pretty much it. Oh, I also have, yeah, my tail from the top. So that is A, that is B, and that is tail from the top. So those are the 3 things that I can do. 3 attacks that I have here. And you would think, you know, with all that acid in me, that it would take a lot less hits to go ahead and kill one of the enemies, but no. Oh, there we go. So yeah, again, you know, 3D, let's see, come on. Is that what you want to do, buddy? Here we, all right. Oh, I didn't get to him fast enough. So there we go. Simulation terminated. That was the Alien vs. Predator on the Atari Jaguar. And again, that was held up as one of the best games of its ever. Everybody wanted to go ahead and play it. We again, hadn't really seen games like this before that had that much texture mapping, and it was that fast and all in 3D on a home console, right? Okay, but now we need to get on to probably the best known and really beloved game for the Jaguar, and that is Tempest 2000. So I'm going to shut off the other music here so we can just hear this. So Tempest 2000, developed by Llamasoft, which was run by a guy named Jeff Minter. Jeff Minter is, you know, one of our all-time great game designers in the games industry. He's worked on everything from the Commodore VIC-20 and 64 forward. If you've ever played, what is it, TXK, or you played any of the Tempest games, you've played Polybius on the PlayStation, any of these sorts of games, you can tell when it is a Jeff Minter game because it is trippy, super psychedelics, ton of really good music and soundtrack with it. And in fact, this soundtrack was so good that Atari actually shipped a copy of the soundtrack on a CD when you bought this game. And I still have this playlist in rotation on my phone, right? Because the music is really, really awesome. So if you've never played Tempest before, you're literally just scaling up through the different levels. Your character basically moves around the edge of this environment, or the level, right? The edge of the level there. And enemies are coming out from this n-dimensional space, and you have to shoot them, clear the level, go on to the next one. And what makes the game really difficult is it starts to, certain levels have you flipped upside down, or changes your rotation orientation as you're playing the game. So you have to really think about where you are kind of on the level as you're playing. And this version introduced some power-ups, like being able to jump. Well, actually, that was the big one, right? Was being able to jump, which is super critical when you get to the more kind of fast-paced, frantic stages as we go up. So let's go ahead and just jump straight in. And I'm going to be playing this one actually for a little while, because this is my absolute favorite game on the Atari Jaguar, and one of the best versions. Well, actually, I think this really is kind of the best version. All right, so there we go. We're moving around the level there, and every other enemy that you fire on right now will release kind of that power-up circle. So this one should release it. And jump is enabled, so now I can jump off the playfield, because what happens is when those creatures reach the top, they'll go ahead and traverse the edge of the level to try to get you, right? So jumping allows you to avoid them and adds a whole other layer of complexity and skills to the game. There's my AI droid. That's another one of the power-ups. So it's basically like having a second laser cannon, like you would in Galaga or something like that, but this one kind of moves around the level, shooting characters for you. Here we go. Now, if you collect enough of those diamonds that you can see there, or triangles, you can see there at the top, you can go to a bonus stage, and the bonus stage just has you collecting points by navigating rings. We're going to see if we can get to it before the end of the program today. Now, if you want to go and experience these games, like I said, and don't have access to an Atari Jaguar or the hardware because it is very expensive, make sure you go ahead and look up the Big P emulator by Rich Whitehouse. Once again, this was done by Rich with the team over at Digital Eclipse, and this was for the Atari 50th Anniversary Collection. And then they decided it was so good, and there's no really good Jaguar emulators out there, let's go ahead and just give it away, which they did. And so what's wonderful about it is that it is compatible with every game ever released for the Jaguar, not the Jaguar CD, they're still working on that, but you could up-level the resolution and frame rate to make the graphics look better, sharper, more performant, and it just plays like silk, man. It is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. So this was the big one. Now the funny thing though is, you know, and I've mentioned this to other friends before, is when you're playing the bonus levels on this game, the audio that they have is a female that sounds like she's moaning the achievements or instructions. So, you know, if you're playing by yourself in a room and somebody else in the house is listening, they may come in and ask you what the hell it is that you're playing, and you just tell them, here we go. So here's the bonus level. So the whole goal here is to just fly through these rings. Now, if you've played like TXK on the PlayStation Vita, this will kind of look familiar to you because Jeff Minter used a similar mechanic for the bonus stages there. But instead of flying just through rings, you had to go ahead and collect these hearts that came at you. But it was the same sort of mechanic, right? Flying through this 3D space at them. So again, you know, here comes this system. We've not had 3D visuals like this before in 1994, unless you were playing on a more expensive PC. And now we were experiencing this on the Atari Jaguar. It was just awesome. All right, here we go. We're going through here. Oh, let's see if I can get to the end of this bonus stage. That'll be pretty good. Actually, not having such a bad game right now. You all have a bunch of good luck. All right, here we go. Yeah, and the soundtrack, though, oh, it's so good. So damn good. Television is the retina of the mind's eye is one of the samples in one of the games. Okay, so now I think this one's going to tell me to go up. So now you have to go above that cloud and I missed it. There you go. And so then it allows you to collect extra points, extra lives, and off you go. So let's go ahead and play through one more level, and then let's see if we have time for one more game in the Atari Jaguar library. And maybe what we'll do is we'll look at the kart racing game that came out for the Jag, because again, it was trying to cash in on Mario Kart and those types of games, right? Kart racing games. Here we go, Super Zapper Recharge. Woo! And you can see, you know, the shape of the levels will start to actually become more complex, and they become like these nested loops. Oh, and I needed to fire them off there because they were coming at me pretty fast. And then down the trenches here. Oh no, I don't have any more. See, if you can position yourself under them as they're flipping onto you, can shoot them so you don't get caught up there on the top of the, you know, on the edge of the board. But I did not. So, all right, come on, let's grab this power up. Boom. This one will split. Now, this game was created by a guy named David Thur. And David was also the creator of a very well-known game known as Missile Command. And when he created the original Tempest game, he was thinking about creatures coming out of this fourth dimension and how, you know, you need to obliterate them and all that stuff. And that's kind of where this came from. It was supposed to be kind of a nightmare scenario. Oh, okay. I think I just grabbed the jump on that. So let's go ahead and see. Do I still have that jump? No, I don't. I missed it. I missed it right before. Yes, there we go. So that's Tempest 2K. Again, this is the start of the introduction to Jeff Minter in the next generation of games. He's made this game or one similar to this on many platforms, and they're all great, right? Because they're all built off of the same kind of core gameplay mechanic and Jeff's incredible audio-visual sensibilities. Really, really awesome. So, all right, let's go ahead and look at one more game. And that game, like I said, is Atari Kart Racing. So let's go ahead and find that. Of course, there's a lot more games than we're going to obviously have time to get to today. But, you know, while not the greatest and most impressive system, there are still hidden gems in here, right, to be had and to have fun with, right? And some of these still hold up pretty well today. All right. So you can see exactly where we're going here with this type of a racing game. There's Scully, Pulpito, Mistress. Oh, Bentley Bear. So Bentley Bear, does anybody know where Bentley Bear comes from? If you do, go ahead and pop it into the chat. Let me know. Where does Bentley Bear come from? And so there you go, this big old skybox. And let's see, there we go. That one is gas. And look at that, it looks like a kart racer, right? The problem is that the control is terrible. Now, obviously, higher resolution than what the Super Nintendo could do with their Mode 7 scaling. And that's basically what they're doing here. They're taking a flat plane, they're laying it down as a single texture, and then they are rotating it and scaling it in and out to make it look like it's really 3D, when in fact it is not. Oh, there's a little brake skitch that you can hear, so you can get a little slide action going around the corners, and then you can fire off some weapons. And let's see. But you can hear the music just doesn't feel quite right. The characters feel like they're pasted on the gameplay field instead of existing on the gameplay, if that makes sense. It was just weird, right? It was just a weird little game. Competent, just not great. You know, really kind of forgettable. But what's, again, important to remember is during this era, these developers were trying to figure out how to best utilize these new systems with new capabilities to create new types of games that we hadn't played, or variants on games that we love and enjoyed, but on these more advanced systems. So this was the Atari Kart Racing game. Let me see if I have time for one more. Let me go find one more. Let's not end it just on Atari Kart. Let's go find something else here. Hoverstrack, Quest for Identity. We did Katsumi Ninja. There was a 3D game. It was Missile Command 3D, because the Atari Jaguar was going to have a 3D or a VR headset made for it as well, and they didn't. But the game was actually completed. Power Drive Rally, Protector Raid, and we did that. You know what? Let's go ahead and take a look actually at this one. So this is Rayman. And this is where I believe Rayman first appeared as a character on a console at home, right? Ton of great Rayman games over the years, including one of my favorites, which is on the Sega Dreamcast. That was probably my favorite of all of them. But you could see, you know, really good animation. Here we go, nice and colorful. We had more colors now to work with than we had before. Again, not truly 64-bit, but certainly a leap forward from where we were in on the Genesis and the Super Nintendo. But here's the thing: it doesn't matter about the technical capabilities of the machine if you don't have the right software for it. If you don't have the right games, you don't have the right artists, right developers working on it, then none of the technology matters. What matters are the games, right? So like I said, there were a couple of good ones here on the Atari Jaguar. They're few and far between, but they can be fun to go back and revisit. So here we go. Let's jump into the Dream Forest here. Look at how beautiful that looks on the Atari Jaguar. right? And honestly, I think this is probably the most graphically impressive, visually impressive game on the machine, from the animation to the physics, smooth scrolling and scaling. Nothing ever slows down or gets choppy. They got a ton of sprites on screen. Oh, it would help if I watched the water there instead, right? Let's see. Oh, yeah, there was that power-up one. Let's see if I can... Nope, I can't reach that one. And we'll follow that plant over here, and then we'll climb up our vines. Oh, that's where it was. So yeah, so if I'm able to jump back over, now I can get up there, grab the one up, and then grab that power up there. There we go. That's how you do it, right? Typical console mechanics, right? Stuff that we're all familiar with. But look at how pretty this game was. Really unexpected for the Atari Jaguar. Look, all the little neat animation, like, of course, standing at the ledge and looking to fall off. Look at the way the little mushrooms are stacking themselves up, and they're kind of all alive, and the world is very vibrant. Really beautiful game. Thanks, Elf Frosty. Good to see you. Thank you for showing up today. We really appreciate it. But that was the Atari Jaguar. Again, it was the last attempt at Atari in the console space. Of course, years later, they released the Atari 2600, which is built on a Ryzen chipset for use for modern games and game streaming. But that was kind of a one-off. When we really think about Atari and video game systems, the Jaguar was their last attempt at playing back in this space, right? And again, while it didn't sell very well, while there were some questionable titles on it, there were some real gems like Rayman, like Tempest 2000, right? That are definitely worth going back to, definitely worth your time to play if you can get your hands on them. And once again, make sure you go check out the Big P emulator by Rich Whitehouse. You can look it up online and go download the emulator, grab yourself some Atari Jaguar games, and jump on in and experience a bit of Atari's last console in the games industry. So there we go. There is a little bit of Atari history, Atari Jaguar content, and yeah, some recommends from me. So here we go. Oh, and we just fell off there. And that's probably as good a place as any to go ahead and end this episode of Rewind. So I want to go ahead and thank you all for joining me today on, again, this episode of Rewind. We do this every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern on Twitch and YouTube. And of course, if you are a game developer from an indie all the way to AAA, and you want to understand how AWS can help you on your cloud gaming journey, make sure you head on over to aws.amazon.com/GameTech to check out all of the technology tools and services that, again, can help you on your cloud game development journey. And once again, thanks to Waterflame for the use of his music here on Rewind. You can check out his catalog at Waterflame Music right here on YouTube. And of course, if you care about the history of video games and video game history preservation, make sure you head on over to gamehistory.org, the Video Game History Foundation. They are basically preserving our video game history for future generations. I happen to sit on the board of this 501c3 organization, and I love the work that they're doing. So once again, head on over to gamehistory.org to find out how the Video Game History Foundation is preserving video game history for future generations. And there we go. So thank you so much for spending your Friday afternoon with me. Once again, my name is Chris Melissinos. I'm the Principal Evangelist for video games here at AWS, and we come to you every Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern to look back on video games past as we build video games future. So with that, have a wonderful rest of your day. Have an incredible weekend, and we will see you next time on Rewind.